Sea pickles can be smelted into laundry dye. I know that now. I've played this for years. Here we go. Village. Ow. Build me a house nearby after I do this. I need a crafting table. You shut the door away. I don't. Like, a new crafting table. Where is that crafting table? Do I have to make one? You don't have one. You definitely don't have one. You don't have one. You don't have one. You should have one. Even though you're double. Wait. I think I found one. Nope, I found a broomstick. Which I could brew a potion at some point. Use this up.
I think that, like, I wouldn't challenge any of the ideas, but it does make for, the way that it sounds, make for a compelling narrative. In Spain, and they have all of this all the country,
Use all of it.
Services, you'll be able to do this, it's a nicer place to live than, where you are now, and used to be out, right out there. Because it makes for a, again, I'm not sure the fact that, maybe they're not the sharpest guys out there, but at the same time, if they're not all that sharp, they're easy to say, look, this is actual. And I think what's interesting there is that probably is part of, like, the broader narrative, because the Mexicans have this narrative of the United States, they'll say, like, oh, we didn't cross the border, the border crossed us. I actually know these states were all like 95% American until like 50 years ago, so like now you actually crossed the border. Although there were some people that were Mexican extraction in the States, the vast majority of Mexican Americans, they can trace their lineage to 20th century migration. That's neither here nor there. That is true, that is one narrative, and that is something they're aware of, they'll state. The primary reason they came to the United States is because of the United States. Okay. Same with these Moroccans, well, I'm sure that might be a secondary thing. The primary reason they're coming here is Europe, and they were Morocco. The further evidence for this is there were some people from sub-Saharan Africa that were part of this raid. I've seen just a few minutes ago, I saw some videos on X there, and there's already some fires that are starting in Seattle, and the young men are already being rambunctious. There's process crimes, and I've always been fascinated by process crimes.
Do
We
this.
would go back through the summertime, right? So you go back to summer here just a couple of years ago, and we would see these caravans.
A little bit. A break. Well,
Right? And they would say there are now 15,000 people, and they are marching to the Texas border. You would see this, and you always wonder, like, well, this is a process, right? Someone's
yeah,
being
to the house.
organized. We have these crazy teen takeovers, which are bad. It's 100 kids who are all on instant messenger saying, like, hey, we're all going to meet at this place at 8 o'clock. Easy to organize. When you have 15,000 people in Central America, harder organized. When you have 80,000 people in Moroccan border who all knew to be there at the exact same time, harder organized. And I'm always fascinated by the processes. When you said that there's probably, without, the low IQ
yeah,
guys,
like 3,
historical reasons, they just
2,
know here at this time and they're going to get in. How do they know that? Right? Like, how did a 22-year-old kid in Morocco,
0.
who probably is illiterate, know, hey, I got to be at this location on this day at this time because they will get me into Spain. Those are the forces that are at work, that whether it's on our border, on their border, in the EU, those process crimes. It's the same thing when I think of, again, I'll say the word process crime one more time because you guys love it. When I think of the Biden DOJ, when they were like, hey, we're going to put all the people who go to Latin Mass on the terror list. Yeah. Like, people sat around the table like this, and they were like, all right, so Phil, you're in charge of this church in Arlington. Okay, go right down. Like, that was a process, and I always wondered, like, who orchestrated that first meeting? Like, hey, everybody, we're going to meet at 8 o'clock on Thursday to talk about Latin Mass. Who organized this first meeting of the caravans to say, hey, everybody, Tuesday at 8, we're going to start the next caravan for the Morocco, invasion and save the process is always fascinating because there are evil forces behind it.
Yeah, and that's right. Do you think there's probably isn't ideology organized to your point? There's no way that these kids have the capability of even figuring this out. To me, people cannot hold a job down at Burger King, but they have the ability to scam the government at an exceptionally high level. Someone is teaching them this. Like, they're not just figuring this out on their own.
Somewhere
Yeah, exactly.
over.
So the same thing here. It's like the people that are organizing this sort of thing and being the shadow of the wall, so to speak.
It doesn't bother me. Good.
Civilizational tensions. And it doesn't help that virtually every institution in Europe that would have ordinarily been a check on this sort of thing that would have been sort of national pride promotes this. Like in Spain, historically speaking, the Catholic Church was this sort of national sentiment organization, but it was also very uniting, institution in Spain. Like you can't really talk about the story of Spain without talking about the Catholic
So
Church.
100 gives 4 rather than 64 gives. Few stats, yeah.
On July 4th, he's an American, by all accounts. And on July 4th, he heads down to Lanzarote, which is like the beachhead for all migrants coming into Europe. And he does this lecture about how cruel, Europe and America is being the migrants, and how these parties who literally just say, maybe Germany has the right to exist, maybe France has the right to exist, how they're evil, and you're having lockstep with Christ-like values, these things. So it's like when this institution that historically was literally, like I said, you can't really separate Spain from the Catholic Church, all of a sudden converted into this boomer NGO. There's no checks on this.
How's going time?
Spaniards going to look
I just need
for
to.
any sort of counterweight to what their government's up to, because every institution that historically safeguarded and shepherded the Spanish people, not just the Catholic, but various other institutions, are promoting this. And it's like, where are they supposed to go? Vox, the insurgent right-wing party in Spain, they can't crack 20% of the polls. So it's like, I really feel, I hate when American commentators don't talk Europe. First of all, they have all the same problems. Slightly different procedure, but all the same problems. Secondarily, don't have that. They don't have it.
The process is designed to really influence the person. So whoever's organizing this is to overpower us so we can influence the process. That's there because we're too busy getting on the online border right now. We're too busy trying to manage the, whatever stuff people that want us to say. They can manage that before we can get us. We're organizing it. Just more question matter is who these people are they firing? Are they going to harm the Spaniards? Which is exactly something that are very fired. At least that's very soft time, but we know based on history that illegal immigrants commit higher crimes, such as violent crimes. Yes, and we know that. I mean, they were just over violent right after that whole incident over there.
This looks like the craziest part. You know, like hearing about things possible and everything. The last time they were critical, aren't they? Like, whoa, like shocking, like true too. But what's so remarkable about specifically Britain, which is what I'm familiar with because all their correspondence in English, so I understand it, is rates have gone up 500% in the United Kingdom over the last 2 decades. And the British government, the level of gaslighting, where they're like, this new generation of British youth, out of nowhere, decided to start raising everyone. They started things like kitty parties left and right. That's like the official narrative from the British government. When it's like, okay, what's more likely, like a bunch of young English boys who like watch one Andrew Tate reel and then they all turn into like these like psycho kitty party people, or the people that came from
Okay,
Instagram 20 years ago
what's next?
are sort of behaving like we expect them to behave. What's more likely?
Door.
Contributing to this rise of
It's the same
violence.
thing here, where they're like, why are more young girls getting killed, and why is it now not safe to go and run as a young woman in a college town?
1, 2, 3, that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
They're literally
26,
killing
yeah.
young white women primarily, and they're like, but where they came from, they feel bad. I don't feel bad, because that's my own self-preservation. That's like, no, I don't feel bad about that, and that's what I think Europeans should be doing, more of them should be doing, but you're right, they're all hypocrites.
The most vocal people that are the ones that are discussing this stuff, at least in public. They're the ones that are the most, and most outwardly empathetic. Most of the women that I talk to, they're like, hell no. They're like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to feel like I'm worried about, my safety or what have you. But the people that are even activists and make a stink,
You do 30 just in
are the
case.
ones that are out protesting and making much noise. Those are the ones that are the people that are more suicidal. Whether it be you or all the women in my life, they're like, hell no.
It's going to be interesting what happens with this invasion.
Next one, we have 2.
Because
36.
UK has luxury being an island, so there's a little bit of a border. But I mean, in 2000,
Go to
when the EU
furnace.
was finally formed, it was a big deal.
So I'm gonna take a
January 1st, 2020. January 1st, 2000, when the borders were all shut down. So you cross borders in the European nations now, and they don't even have booths anymore, right? Like you go from Italy into Spain, France. Switzerland still has all of theirs. Swiss never played games, but traveling throughout all of Europe, like there is no border. Like there's just a line. Like when you cross from West Virginia into Maryland, right? There's just welcome to Maryland. So if you look at this now, and you are France, you are Italy, right? Georgia Maloney, I think you have a tweet there that she tried to push back to say this is a huge problem for the Prime Minister of Italy. It's like, all right, we don't want this. Okay, you got the boot, right? So that's a start, and then the dose obviously is a huge problem because they got
Believe it or not.
But you've got
3 damage
France,
to these
you've
things.
got Austria, you have huge borders that now don't even have the booths anymore to shut down your border. If you're France, how do you shut down the border along Spain? It used to exist. You tore it down in European solidarity. It was great in 2000 because we thought we were all the Europeans. And we all
I will
get
make you a
along,
bed, don't worry.
The communism is dead. We're all European brothers. And now it's like, holy crap, where the hell did our border go? You can't build it back.
Yeah, the first time that I went here was in 2005, I think was the 2004 was the very first time I went, and it was a surprise that they were like, oh, we're going into France tonight. Or do I have to get up to get the bus or like not? And do that all over Europe. You should bounce from place to place. You're playing festivals and you go from show to show to show. No, you never have to get up. Again, like you said, the only time you have to get up is if you're going to Switzerland and you get up and kind of show your face.
Switzerland and Latin. He who laughs last Swiss. Right, the Swiss are laughing their asses off. Good luck.
Alright, that's where it lasts.
Even if it's willpower shut down, Channel Crossing, which we've seen boarding up burns.
That's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
There's just so many touch points in this security nightmare. Ireland has, in Dublin, they have a TSA
24.
ICE Customs Border Patrol, whatever you want to call it. CBP has an outpost in Dublin. So when you fly into Dublin and then you're connecting to the United States, you can pre-clear in Dublin, which is awesome. Which is awesome. And you land in your domestic terminal in New York, you don't go to the line at JFK, you just walk right off the plane. Starts to call into question that, like who's staffing CBP in Dublin? Are they going to be dialed in? Like it's this is the unfortunate thing about living in this globalized world that we live in, which I think there's a lot of benefits of. I'm definitely skeptical of, but I'm willing to admit travel is a lot easier now. At the rate, etc. Are we returning to the world now where it's going to across the country? You can't trust Spain, or if Spain is completely falling apart, they can come down security-wise. Then yeah,
I'm not telling you to pay class for a reason. Well, now.
We can't trust Spain because we can't trust California because they gave 50,000 non-speaking illegals commercial driver's licenses, right? And they're killing people nationwide, and it's like, so we can't trust California, let alone. So exactly, so how can we possibly trust? It's funny, the Northern Irish border, I was there last year, the only reason why I knew was not even the border is so bad, waves on my phone.
I have a few in case I mess up.
It went from miles per hour to kilometers. Because the Brits still use miles per hour. So my phone knew that I was in Northern Ireland, but there wasn't a sign. Oh, I know, it's crazy. Welcome to, yeah. It's insane. It was just something that made me remember. But
1, 2, 3.
It's possibly trusted. It's so alarming, and I've had Ann Coulter on my show many times. She had my favorite quote. It's a very simple quote, but it's so true. It's like, you get immigration under control, everything else corrects. Yeah. But if you fix immigration, everything in your life gets easier. I was on the show today. I was talking about all these, like, we talk about the macro, right? Like, oh, everybody's like sliding out or something like a migrant. But we
Really?
Little ways that like life is just slowly getting worse because people that are completely different understanding the world are here. A very obvious one that didn't even click with me. Have you noticed on the roads recently you're seeing a lot more street drivers?
Yes.
Yes. The reason why that's happening, not all the time, it is true that people are getting their licenses later in life, so it's part of it. But if you see that, you pull up next to them on a stoplight, take a look, it's going to most likely be an Indian person in the middle age. And the reason that is happening is because, and shout out to Sam Ellie and Joy on Twitter, Alex, this is his handle. He was talking about this. Is a lot of people from India who scam a lot, their thing, whatever, just reading that immigration tricky, they have realized that if you set up at your home a driving school, you can now log all those miles that you've logged in your car and write that all off when you're filing your taxes. You go to Harris Teeter to get groceries. That was a student I did a student driving course for someone. So you can write that all off, and then now you can use a driver's sticker on your car, but the cops never pull you over. And they're like, what's your deal? You get registration, you're registered as a student driving.
Bro, ain't what happens.
Well, we're not, I'm not doing it right now, but it's going to say something back. It's like little stuff like that. Just, now we can't trust student drivers. You see someone with a student driver sticker, and you're like, oh, this poor guy. We've all been there. They're getting a little grace, they're nervous, they're anxious, or whatever. It's like, we've all been there. But now I see them, and I'm like, this guy's probably just scamming. Like, he probably scamming. The same thing is another one when you're traveling in the airport. Once again, it's Indians. Go figure. If you notice that there's far more people boarding, at the beginning before
fix this.
Alliance, military, whatever. They must have disabled people for it. You were on my group, Trish. We were talking about this earlier today. You were on my
Fucking cable right here.
Because I know what you're gonna say. That you know how where I'm going is the disabled first. All of us can agree that's great. One of my favorite things in the United States is that we're quite accommodating to the disabled. I think it's actually a beautiful thing. Okay, let's start wherever. It's like, they have a rough go of life. The airport's horrible, so cut them a little slack, let them work first, help them hold their back. Great. This is what makes Americans awesome. Is we're very conscientious people. You go to the airport now, and you see all the wheelchairs lining up, and they have their minions that push them around the airport. It's all middle-aged Indian people, and it's, maybe this doesn't happen like the Birmingham airport, but you go like a hub, you go to DFW, you go to JFK, you go to O'Hare. It's going to be middle-aged Indians. Why is that? Because they realize that you don't have to prove you're disabled. They just understand that if they like call themselves disabled, they get to board the plane first, they get guaranteed overhead storage, and they get someone to push them around
Yeah,
there.
we could duplicate the
Like
others,
little
but
stuff
I
like
didn't
that,
go
like
to.
how we can't trust, people like using the disabled thing. And it's, first of all, it's first people that are actually disabled. And secondarily, it's just eroded
that's
in
fine.
other institutions. A third example, where I give the floor back to John
Like
Doyle.
duplicate fire
John
anyways.
Doyle, check out the show. He was talking about you can't put Amber Alerts anymore because of migrants. Because Amber Alerts now, it used to be, you got an Amber Alert, and you're like, I'm going to be
Alright, let's get into this video.